AITA for exposing my wife's affair to her family after 2 failed paternity tests. I am 34 years old and married to Melissa, who is also 34. We have been married for 6 years and only recently decided to start trying for kids. We planned to have just 2 children and wanted to make sure we had practically everything in place to give them a good life. It took about 6 years, but we figured it out. Fortunately, Melissa is now pregnant and is due in less than a month. Before the congratulations start pouring in, something really strange has happened, and I genuinely do not know what to think about it. My first instinct was to share the encounter with my wife, but that seemed like a bad idea because it has to do with her and the pregnancy. Let me start from the absolute beginning. I went to the local shopping mall with her to buy some things for the baby. The day was normal for the most part, but at one point when she was inside the store and I stepped out to the parking lot for a bit, a guy approached me. He said his name was Derek and asked if I knew Melissa. I told him she was my wife. He said he did not want to alarm me, but he had something very important to tell me, so he gave me his phone number. He said not to tell Melissa that we had met, so I did not. When I got home and was alone, I decided to call him to find out what was going on, because it did not seem like there was any real risk if I did. He did not waste much time telling me that he was quite sure Melissa's pregnancy was his. The first thing I did was get very upset. No matter how calm a person is, that is a pretty shocking claim to hear from someone who just walked up to you on a random day. The thing is, he did know Melissa's name, so it was not just some kind of prank. I could not understand how else he would have known her name. I asked him what he knew about her, and he told me quite a lot, which was mostly accurate and not necessarily public information. I really could not see how not to believe him, but it was the kind of claim I was just supposed to accept without question. I asked him where they had met, and he said it was at the grocery store. She had been doing the shopping about 2 years ago. They had gone on a date about 2 months after that, and had begun an inappropriate relationship. He claimed he did not know she was married at first. Eventually she admitted it, but he was okay with that. So they continued, and only stopped once she got pregnant. He asked her if it was his, but she said no. He knew she could not be sure about it. That is why he did not let it go. He told me he really wanted to be a father, as if I was supposed to care about my wife's affair partner's dreams. I told him I did not care. I told him there was no reason to believe him, but he claimed there was no reason for him to lie. He acted like he told me for some altruistic purpose, but that is nonsense. He told me he wants to be able to step in and be a father without any resistance. He is doing it for himself, not for me. The thought that the pregnancy I have spent almost 9 months so excited about is not mine would absolutely destroy me. It was an irrelevant question, but I asked him how he knew where we were. He claimed he was already set on coming to let me know the truth, so he had been outside our suburban home. He needed to catch me alone. That is why he waited until the mall. He had hoped I would take out the trash, and he would have approached me then. But we went out instead, so he essentially followed us all over the mall. I felt extremely uncomfortable hearing that from him. I have to ask myself if I really believe him. To tell the truth, I see very little reason not to. And that is a problem. I want real proof instead of taking a stranger's word over the trust one am supposed to have in Melissa. Yet, despite all that, I am already leaning toward the belief that she actually did betray our marriage. He knows too much for this to all be a scheme. Ultimately, I am going to find out and I will update this so I do not leave everyone hanging. I can try to dig into her messages to find the truth, or I can just wait until our child is born and go for the paternity test. I did not want to think about it for too long, but I will figure it out. Update 1. Consider this a spoiler, but I am going to get straight to the point. The baby has been born, and he is not mine biologically. I am trying not to think too hard about how I feel, but I think the predominant emotion is a feeling of betrayal. I have loved this woman with all my heart in the time we have been together. We both seriously wanted a child, and she got pregnant. It made me the happiest man in the world until everything was ruined by that guy Derek. I cannot even say he really ruined it, because he was just bringing the truth to me. Melissa ruined it. She was the one who owed me loyalty, but she did not give it to me. She threw it all away to have an affair with this guy. Now he is the father of the child I thought was mine. To say I am heartbroken would be an understatement because I am losing everything. I am losing the child that was supposed to be mine, and I am losing my wife. I was happy when she delivered safely at the hospital. I was not as happy as I could have been, because underneath it all I kept thinking about Derek from the moment at the mall that day. I have had no real peace of mind. I looked at the baby, and even though some of the people there were saying he looked like me, I could not see it. I tried to let their assessments convince me. However, I tried to think that maybe, just maybe, the child was mine. Even if he was, it was not going to make me stay with Melissa. Not until I found out for a fact that she did not even know who Derek was. But before I got to that point, I realized the truth. It was as easy as buying a home paternity test kit from the pharmacy. When she was not around, I did a cheek swab on the baby and myself, and then sent the samples in exactly as requested. I tested from 2 different companies because I had no room for doubt. I needed to be completely sure. Well, as you may have guessed, when the results came back, both test kits showed negative results. No chance of paternity. So the baby I thought was going to bring light into my life is not even mine in the first place. How do you even recover from this? I know I do not have it the worst in the world. There are men who find out similar things when they have already developed a strong bond with a child. I am lucky because this is a literal newborn. I do not need to give up more than the last year of my life, but it does not make what I am going through any less painful just because others go through worse. I do not know what I am going to do. I am doing my best not to explode and do something I will regret, but I have to admit how very difficult it is. I do not feel like divorce is enough payment for the pain I am feeling. She is just going to end up with Derek anyway, so she is not losing much compared to what I am losing. I will recover from this, and I will end things with her. All I can hope for is that I will be okay again as soon as possible. What destroys me the most about this story is the anticipation. 9 months of preparing to be a father. 9 months of excitement. And the whole time he knew there was a chance it was all a lie. He lived in that uncertainty from the mall until he had the results in his hands. 2 tests, both negative, did not even leave him room for doubt. Anyway, let us continue with the next update. Update 2. I have had my moment to confront everything. Although I am typically a very calm person, I have to say I felt a strong sense of justice in every second of it. It was well-deserved, and I truly believe that in a fair world, she should have received much more than what I sent her way. But I will settle for what I got. It was one Sunday, and after church, Melissa wanted us to take the baby to her aunt's house. A lot of her family gathers there after the service just to catch up, share a meal, and spend time together. It is not the first time we have been there. She especially wanted to go because she loved how much attention the baby got there. Plus, she tends to get some time to herself, as the older women tend to take the baby off her hands. I knew that was the moment I was going to reveal the truth. When we got to her aunt's house, the usual group was there, including a bunch of other people from church I was not too familiar with. I just knew it was the perfect number of people to confront Melissa in front of. I did not care about anything at that point. I just wanted to make the truth clear. The afternoon went pretty well. I would have enjoyed it more if I actually had a child, but I had been forced into this difficult situation by my wife, who could not just be faithful to me. I have no idea why that was so difficult for her. Her choice to have an affair was the exact reason why my life has been so difficult for the past few weeks. It was that anger that fueled me when I chose to make a scene. I told everyone I had something to say, and I made sure I got the attention of absolutely everyone who was there. When everyone finally gathered, I laid it right on them. I told them that my wife Melissa had been unfaithful to me for a long time, and the child that was supposedly ours belonged only to her, because I was not the biological father. I saw her jump as if she had been startled, and she quickly put her hands over her mouth. She did not try to deny it. I think I caught her very off guard. There was no way she was going to find the best defense that quickly. There was a lot of murmuring, but I guess I am not too surprised that most people did not know exactly what to say. Her aunt was the first to speak. She asked me how I was sure of that. I mentioned that I had done 2 paternity tests and had the pictures if anyone was not convinced. A few people took a look. The next defense for Melissa was foolish and came from one of the younger women. She said something like, "So you just decided to do a random paternity test? If you did not trust her that much, then maybe that explains why she did not feel more secure with you." That was very dumb because she was trying to deflect the blame and make Melissa seem like some kind of saint, which she obviously is not. It was not hard for me to defend myself against that. I had trusted her completely as I was supposed to as her husband. If it were not for Derek, I would have continued to trust her. I saw her eyes go wide, as she had no idea that I ever came in contact with that man. I am glad she got a chance to know that I did, and that is where everything started. He is always going to be the father of her child, so she can choose to be upset with him for essentially destroying her marriage. but he is always going to be a presence in her life, whether she likes it or not. She does not deserve to have her cake and eat it too. I am glad I am the one who gets to walk away. I will never be able to trust her again. After I pointed out the Derek situation, there were no more people willing to step up and defend her. It was just so clear to everyone what a serious breach of trust had occurred. I told them right there that our marriage was going to end, and it was all Melissa's fault. I had done my best as a husband, and I had hoped to do my best as a father, but she ripped all of that away from me. I was furious by the end of the whole thing. All the talking had made the emotions as raw as possible. It all came to the surface quite genuinely. I was glad I was able to express myself passionately. When I realized I had nothing else to say, I turned around and walked right out of there. The first place I went was to a friend's house. We spent a lot of time talking, and I felt a lot better by the end of it. He is divorced, so he connected me with his divorce lawyer. I cannot wait for the whole episode to be over. I have had enough of the drama that comes along with an unfaithful spouse. Once I am divorced from her, I will have a clean break and I will be able to go back to relative normalcy. Update 3. Everything has finally come to a close regarding me and Melissa, who is now officially my ex-wife. And I am glad I can say that. She and her baby have gone their own way and will have nothing to do with me. She came home with the baby hours after I left her at her aunt's house. I was furious that she thought she was welcome in the house. She claimed all the baby's things were in our house, so she had to come back. She could have just come to pick up her things and then leave, but she decided to stay for the night as if nothing was wrong. She tried to get me to talk to her about the situation, but there was nothing to talk about. She cried for hours and I did not care. It was crazy how quickly I had learned to resent her. She left the house the next day. I made sure she was out before I left for work. I told her she could communicate with other people, but the only other chance I would give her was to come and get her things from the house, including the baby's things. She did that in the evening. Her extended family could not look me in the eye. They could not say anything because they all knew how badly she had messed up. When it was time for the divorce, the court asked for another paternity test to be done at a specific accredited lab. And, of course, I had no problem with that. It was exactly the result I expected, so I was completely removed from any child support obligations related to the child. Sadly for me, because of her child, she was granted temporary possession of the house. It makes no sense to me, because it is not even my child. So why should I have to give up my house for another man's child? Derek will probably move in there with her, and I will be left feeling like a fool. Of course, I was paid out for my share of the equity in the house, but it still does not make things much better for me. I am paying alimony too, so I am just getting the short end of the stick in every possible way. After the divorce was finalized, I had to move my things. I found a storage unit and eventually got an apartment that was relatively comfortable. I was so angry when a friend of mine told me he saw Melissa in town with her baby and a man. I already knew it had to be Derek, and even though I thought I had been getting over things, it just made me so mad. I could not help it, so I decided to give her social reputation one last hit. I went on social media and made a post talking about the entire situation and everything that had happened. It was quite passionate because at that moment I was feeling so broken and hurt. I lost everything, and she was walking around like a happy pseudo-family with that guy. The post gained a lot of attention, and that made me incredibly happy. It was eventually removed by one of the moderators of the group where I had posted it, but I knew it had done its damage, and that was what I wanted. She tried to call me. I guess she found out that I had publicly exposed the deception about the child's paternity. There was no reason to answer her call, so I just did not. She called, and then sent angry messages. They could have been angrier, but I think a part of her knew she deserved everything she had received from me. I think she might have recognized that she got off easy, to be completely honest. Anyway, I blocked her. Now if she wants to contact me, she can do it through my lawyer. I want nothing to do with her and her new family. It is going to be very hard for me to get back to my usual self again. Sadly, she played a huge part in my life for the last decade or so. Having that suddenly ripped away will be hard to adjust to, but I will do it because I have no choice, and because I feel like giving up is letting her win. I will be better. I refuse to let an unfaithful woman have so much power over my life. Comment. This story really made me stop and reflect on what truly matters in relationships. I want you to know that protecting your self-respect should always be a priority. Setting clear boundaries is one of the most important acts of self-care you can practice. When something no longer feels right, it's okay to choose your peace and walk away. Healing after deep hurt takes time, and I hope you give yourself that time without guilt. Taking responsibility for your own happiness is something no one else can do for you. Be kind to yourself throughout the process because you deserve that gentleness. You are worthy of honesty, loyalty, and genuine love in your life. Sometimes, the hardest decisions lead us toward the most peaceful future. I believe in your strength to move forward and build something better for yourself. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.